Buying a great property in Milwaukee is not as easy as it used to be. Milwaukee has actually become quite competitive as a real estate marketplace. We simply have way too many buyers and not enough houses. So new and unprepared buyers very quickly find out that good properties are usually gone before they can blink, and they're often gone with multiple offers. So what's supposed to be a fun and exciting experience can turn very quickly into something very, very frustrating. So in this video, I would like to share with you how our buyers have been able to compete successfully and get great properties under contract by doing a few simple things and stacking the odds in their favor. My name is Marcus Auerbach. I'm a local real estate agent with Keller Williams here in Mequon. On this channel, we are covering local market updates as well as tips and tricks for homeowners, buyers, and sellers. So if you want to stay updated on all things real estate in Milwaukee, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Alright, let's get right to it. So most home buyers have a lot of questions when they're starting out. They're wondering, should I stop paying rent and buy a home instead? Does it make sense for my family to upgrade to a bigger home or to a different lifestyle? And is now even the right time for buying a home? And after all these questions have been answered, there's usually one question that remains. How do we win a bidding war in a competitive marketplace? Before we get into the details, I should probably point out that of course not every listing is going to turn into a competitive bidding war with multiple offers. One of the best ways to win a bidding war is obviously to avoid it. So what are you looking for? Sometimes it's as easy as being faster than everybody else. Sometimes you might be looking at listings that just don't show that well on the MLS. The pictures are not that good. If something looks like it has been staged for an HGTV show, it will probably become very competitive. So if you find yourselves in a very competitive situation and you're wondering how strong your competition is, I have an unfair advantage for you, and I'll cover this at the end of this video. Let's quickly talk about the term bidding war, which has been made popular by TV shows and is actually misleading because it is suggesting there is a back and forth of some sorts and people are bidding up the price of the property. That's actually not the case in Wisconsin and in most states for that matter. Buyers are making their best and strongest offer as quickly as possible, submitting it to the listing agent, who then collects all the offers and puts it in front of the seller. The seller then has the sometimes really tough choice to select one of the offers that in its entirety meets the requirements of the seller the most, and they choose that buyer to go forward with. So there is no back and forth. You have one shot as a buyer and you better make it count. Let's talk about preparation. They say luck favors the prepared, and that is definitely true in real estate. When you are standing outside a house and you have 2 hours to write a real estate contract, get it signed and get it delivered to the seller, it's definitely a little bit late to come up with a great strategy. This is why professional buyer's consultation beforehand is so important, because you need to understand all the key elements of an offer and all the contingencies. Waiving contingencies or limiting contingencies is always great for the seller, but you also need to understand how this is limiting your protection, and you need to decide if you're okay with that. So this is why it's important that you think about these things beforehand and not only when you're standing in front of a house and you got 2 hours to make an offer. It might be helpful to illustrate how this looks like from the seller's point of view. I have an example here of a listing that we recently closed, and after 2 days on the market we had a total of 8 offers. So this is what the seller is confronted with, and they have now to make a choice to look through these 8 offers. From these 8 offers, 1 was below asking price, 1 was at asking price, and 6 of them were over asking price. So price is obviously a consideration for most sellers, but it's not the only reason why they might choose an offer. So what are the other things that you could possibly do to make your offer stand out and win that property in a situation like this? You're probably familiar with the ancient Chinese military general and philosopher Sun Tzu. We can take a lot of clues from Sun Tzu's work. For example, you should always know about the strength of your enemy. Sun Tzu was also a big proponent of being prepared because he said most battles are decided before they actually happen. So in our case, it is very important to understand how competitive a listing is going to be, how much interest does it have, how many showings do they have. We usually know that on a listing in Milwaukee, for every 3 to 4 showings that happens on a listing, there will be approximately one offer. So knowing if you're up against 1 or 2 offers or 8 or 10 offers makes a big difference for your strategy. Another huge tip I have for you is understanding the circumstances of the seller. It is shocking to me how few buyer's agents will actually make the effort to reach out to the listing agent and inquire about the circumstances and preferences of the seller. I'll give you an example. Most buyers usually assume that a quick closing is the preference for the seller. But there might be circumstances where the seller's new home is not ready and they actually might prefer a 60 or 90-day closing over 30 days to avoid having to stay in a hotel. Another example would be a seller that got previously burned by bad financing or a bad home inspection. Knowing what has happened previously and what is possibly a hot button for the seller will allow you to work with your agent and structure an offer in a way to avoid those pain points for the seller. Next, let's talk about financing. Most buyers will completely underestimate the importance of their choice of lender and who they get the pre-approval from. After all, this is the party who is bringing the money to the table. Make no mistake, the seller and an experienced listing agent will absolutely gauge the strength of your offer by your choice of the lender. Financing issues are one of the leading reasons why deals get delayed or even fall apart. So listing agents usually pay attention to the reputation of the lender and their ability to make things happen and closing a deal on time. When you find yourself in a competitive bidding situation and you know there is going to be multiple offers and you have to go over asking price, the biggest question always becomes, how much over asking price should we actually go? It's always difficult to gauge what the right amount is, but the best thing you can do is lean on the experience of a good agent who is involved in several deals every week, both on the buying and on the selling side, and has a good feeling for how much the deal will carry. The other tip that I have for you when it comes to choosing your offer price is never put it on a round number. If you feel that your offer price should be $250,000, make it $251, because odds are that somebody else is choosing $250,000. Finally, one of the oldest tricks in the book that still works very well is a personal letter from the buyer to the seller. In such a letter, you can express how you admire the property, the updates that the seller has done, how you can see your family thrive there, and how you will continue the good stewardship to the property. The reason why these letters work so well is because a seller has usually invested a lot of heart and soul and energy into a property, and they want to give it to somebody who will continue their work and carry that on into the future. If you want to make your letter even better, consider attaching a personal picture of yourself and your significant other, which makes the offer even more personal. Finally, let's talk about the unfair advantage that I have promised you earlier in the video. Do you think it would be helpful to know how much people have paid over asking price in Milwaukee? Alright, take a look at this. This is data straight out of the MLS, and what you can see here is how much actual buyers have paid over or under asking price. On the horizontal axis you can see days on market. So what you can tell here is that in the first 7 days, a lot of these offers, these blue dots, are over asking price. You see many of them are between $5,000 and $10,000 over asking. Some of them are between $10,000 and $20,000 over asking. But it changes when you look more to the right, let's say about 3 weeks, 21 days on market. You can see that a lot more of the blue dots are below the zero line, which means that buyers were able to negotiate a discount. Now, every deal is different, and a good starting point is always to figure out what is fair market value. Your agent will be able to do that. If fair market value is below asking price, it is very likely that you're going to see strong competition and people will be more aggressive with their offers. If fair market value is over asking price, then buyers will be a lot more reluctant, maybe not even making an offer. So understanding this is your unfair advantage. If you put it all together, you end up with a smart and very attractive offer, and you should hopefully make it to the top of the pile. So there you have it. This is how you win a bidding war. I hope you had some good takeaways from the video, and if you want to stay updated on all things real estate in Milwaukee, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you around at the next one.